First contact. The night sky over New York City blazed with an otherworldly light as the Zarkonian fleet entered Earth's orbit. Massive ships, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent sheen unknown to human metallurgy, hung in the air like ethereal islands. The world held its breath, teetering on the precipice of a new era. In the heart of the United Nations building, Emily Chen stood before a wall of screens, each displaying a different newsfeed from around the globe. At 28, she was the youngest member of Earth's hastily assembled diplomatic team. Chosen for her unorthodox approach to international relations and her uncanny ability to bridge cultural divides. "They're hailing us again," announced General Harris, his voice tight with tension. "It's time, Ms. Chen. Are you ready?" Emily took a deep breath, smoothing down her navy blue blazer. "As ready as I'll ever be to talk to aliens, sir." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a being that defied easy description. The Zarkonian ambassador, Sarlacc, possessed a form that seemed to shimmer between states. At once solid and fluid, with eyes that sparkled like galaxies and skin that rippled with colors beyond human perception. "Greetings, people of Earth." Sarlacc's voice resonated, a symphony of tones that somehow coalesced into understandable speech. "We come seeking dialogue and exchange. Your world intrigues us." Emily stepped forward, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Sarlacc. I am Emily Chen, representing the United Nations and all of humanity. We are honored by your presence and eager to engage in peaceful discourse." Sarlacc's form rippled, an expression Emily interpreted as surprise. "You are young for such a responsibility, Emily Chen. Do your elders not wish to speak for your species?" A titter of nervous laughter ran through the room. Emily smiled, her dark eyes twinkling with a mix of humor and determination. "Age and wisdom don't always correlate, Ambassador. Humanity values diverse perspectives. My youth might offer insights others have forgotten." The alien's colors shifted, swirling in mesmerizing patterns. "Intriguing. Your species continues to confound our expectations. We had anticipated a show of force, yet you offer words and a child." Emily's smile didn't waver, though she felt the weight of Earth's future on her shoulders. "Sometimes the most powerful force is an open mind, Ambassador. We're not here to intimidate or be intimidated. We're here to learn, to grow, and to forge a path forward together." Sarlacc leaned closer to the screen, his galaxy eyes seeming to peer into Emily's soul. "Bold words, young one. But words are wind without substance to back them. How do you propose to prove humanity's worth to the galactic community?" The room tensed, diplomats and military personnel alike holding their breath. This was the moment they'd feared. An alien ultimatum, a test of humanity's right to exist among the stars. Emily, however, saw an opportunity. She stepped even closer to the screen, her posture relaxed, but her gaze intense. "With all due respect, Ambassador, we don't need to prove our worth to anyone but ourselves. However, if you're asking how we can demonstrate our potential as allies and friends, I have a counter-proposal." Sarlacc's form stilled, curiosity evident in the sudden focus of his swirling patterns. "Speak, Emily Chen of Earth. You have our attention. Instead of us trying to impress you, why don't we learn about each other? A cultural exchange. You've clearly studied us from afar, but there's so much more to humanity than what can be observed. In return, we'd be honored to learn about Zarkonian culture, history, and dreams for the future." The room held its collective breath as Sarlacc considered her words. After what felt like an eternity, the alien ambassador's form erupted in a dazzling display of colors. "Unexpected," Sarlacc mused, a note of what might have been approval in his multi-tone voice. "Your approach is refreshing, Emily Chen. Perhaps there is more to your species than our initial scan suggested." Emily grinned, feeling the tension in the room start to dissipate. "Oh, Ambassador, you have no idea. Humanity is full of surprises, Give us a chance, and we might just surprise you in ways you never imagined. Sarlax's form rippled again, this time in what Emily interpreted as amusement. Very well, young diplomat. We accept your proposal. Prepare your team. We will commence this cultural exchange at dawn. As the screen went dark, the room erupted in a mixture of relieved sighs and excited chatter. General Harris approached Emily, shaking his head in disbelief. I don't know how you did that, Chen, but you've bought us time and a chance. Well done. Emily nodded, her mind already racing with plans. Thank you, sir, but this is just the beginning. We've opened the door, but now we need to show them the best of who we are, our creativity, our resilience, our humanity. As she gazed out the window at the alien ships hovering in the night sky, Emily felt a surge of determination. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and she was determined to ensure those steps led to a brighter future for all. The dawn of a new era was approaching, and Emily Chen, the unlikely diplomat, stood ready to face whatever challenges the universe had in store. The adventure was just beginning, and the stars themselves seemed to twinkle with anticipation of what was to come. The Zarkonian Challenge. The first rays of dawn painted the New York skyline in hues of gold and pink, a stark contrast to the otherworldly gleam of the Zarkonian ships still hovering above. In a hastily repurposed conference room at the United Nations, Emily Chen stood before a diverse group of humans assembled from across the globe. All right, team, she addressed the room, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and determination. The Zarkonians have agreed to a cultural exchange, but make no mistake, this is as much a test as it is an opportunity. Dr. Aisha Malik, a brilliant physicist from Pakistan, raised her hand. What exactly are they expecting from us? Emily smiled, appreciating the direct question. That's the thing, Dr. Malik. They're not giving us a syllabus. We need to show them who we are, our strengths, our creativity, our humanity, without knowing what they're looking for. João Silva, a Brazilian ecologist, leaned forward. So we're flying blind. Not blind, Emily corrected, just improvising. Which, if you think about it, is one of humanity's greatest strengths. As if on cue, the main screen flickered to life, revealing Ambassador Sarlax's shimmering form. Greetings, humans. Are you prepared to begin? Emily stepped forward, her posture confident despite the butterflies in her stomach. We are, Ambassador. What's our first challenge? Sarlax's form rippled with what Emily was beginning to recognize as amusement. Eager, aren't we? Very well. Your first task is to demonstrate your species' capacity for technological innovation. Show us something that embodies the best of human ingenuity. The room fell silent for a moment before erupting into a flurry of whispers. Emily turned to her team, her mind racing. Okay, folks, this is what we prepared for. Dr. Malik, what you got? Aisha stood, her eyes gleaming with excitement. I have an idea, but it's unconventional. Unconventional is exactly what we need, Emily encouraged. Over the next few hours, the team worked feverishly. Dr. Malik led the charge, combining principles of quantum mechanics with cutting-edge material science. Joe's expertise in ecosystems provided unexpected insights, leading to a design that was as much organic as it was technological. As the deadline approached, Emily stood before Sarlax once more. Ambassador, we're ready to present our innovation. Sarlax's form stilled, focusing intently on the humans. Proceed. Dr. Malik stepped forward, holding what looked like a small iridescent seed. This, Ambassador, is what we call the Terra Seed. It's a self-replicating, adaptive terraforming device. She placed the seed in a container of barren soil. Within moments, the seed began to glow, spreading tendrils of light through the dirt. Before the astonished eyes of both humans and aliens, a miniature ecosystem sprang to life. Grass, flowers, even tiny insects. The Terra Seed, Aisha explained, her voice filled with pride. Combines nanotechnology with bioengineering. It can adapt to various environments, transforming inhospitable terrain into thriving ecosystems. It's not just about creating life, but about creating sustainable, balanced life. Sarlax's form pulsed with rapid color changes. Impressive. You create life so casually. Emily stepped in. Not casually, Ambassador, with great responsibility and care. This technology could help us restore damaged ecosystems on Earth and potentially make other worlds habitable. But it's designed with safeguards to prevent uncontrolled spread or ecological damage. The aliens' galaxy eyes seemed to sparkle. Intriguing. You've surpassed our expectations for this challenge. But technology alone does not define a species. Your next task will be quite different. The team exchanged excited glances as Sarlax continued. You will now demonstrate your understanding of culture, not your own, but ours. We will provide you with a complex Zirconian cultural scenario. Your task is to navigate it successfully. Emily felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. This would be trickier than a technological challenge. We're ready, Ambassador. The main screen filled with a dizzying array of colors, shapes, and sounds, a Zirconian cultural display that seemed to defy human comprehension. The team watched in bewildered silence. You have 1 hour, Sarlax announced. Good luck. As the alien's image faded, Emily turned to her team. Okay, people, this is where it gets interesting. Let's break this down. For the next hour, the room buzzed with activity. Linguists attempted to decipher patterns in the sounds, anthropologists searched for familiar cultural structures, and artists tried to interpret the visual elements. With minutes to spare, Emily had an epiphany. Wait, she called out. I think we're approaching this wrong. We're trying to understand it through our cultural lens, but what if the point is to show we can adapt to something entirely alien? She stepped up to the display interface and, taking a deep breath, began to interact with it not as a human would, but by mimicking the fluid, color-changing movements of the Zirconians themselves. As Sarlax reappeared, Emily was in the middle of a complex series of gestures and color manipulations. The alien ambassador watched in silence until she finished. Remarkable, Sarlax finally said. You did not fully understand, yet you attempted to engage on our terms. This flexibility is unexpected. Emily smiled, feeling a mix of relief and pride. Understanding comes in many forms, Ambassador. Sometimes, the willingness to try is as important as the outcome. Sarlax's form shimmered with what Emily hoped was approval. Indeed, you have passed this challenge as well, though not in the way we anticipated. It seems there is more to learn about humans than we realized. As the screen went dark once more, the team let out a collective breath they hadn't realized they'd been holding. Emily turned to them, her eyes shining with determination. Great work, everyone. But let's not get too comfortable. Something tells me the real challenges are yet to come. Little did they know how right she was. As night fell over New York, the Zirconian ships above seemed to pulse with an ominous energy. The next test would push humanity to its limits, forcing them to confront not just alien concepts, but the very nature of their own emotions and empathy. The journey was far from over, and the greatest challenges still lay ahead. The empathy experiment. The sun had barely risen over New York City when Emily Chen received the summons. The Zirconians were ready for the next challenge, and this time, they'd promised it would be unlike anything humanity had faced before. As Emily and her team assembled in the now familiar conference room, tension hung in the air like a heavy fog. They had overcome technological and cultural hurdles, but what could the aliens have in store for them now? The screen flickered to life, revealing Sarlax's shimmering form. Today, the aliens' colors seemed more subdued, almost somber. Greetings, humans. Sarlax began, his multi-tone voice carrying an unfamiliar weight. You have shown admirable adaptability in our previous challenges. Now we come to the heart of what we seek to understand about your species. Emily stepped forward, her brow furrowed with concern. We're ready, Ambassador. What's the nature of this challenge? Sarlax's form rippled slowly, deliberately. Emotion. Empathy. These concepts are difficult for us. We wish to understand how they function within your species and how they influence your actions and decisions. The room fell silent. This wasn't a test of knowledge or skill, but of the very essence of what it meant to be human. How do you propose we demonstrate this, Ambassador? Emily asked, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. We have prepared a series of scenarios, Sarlax explained. You will be presented with complex emotional situations. Your responses will be monitored and analyzed. But be warned, these scenarios may be unsettling. Emily nodded, turning to her team. This is it, folks. This isn't about what we know or what we can do. It's about who we are. Are you ready? The team's determined faces were all the answers she needed. As the first scenario unfolded on the screen, Emily felt her heart clench. They watched as a simulation played out. A child, alone and afraid on an alien world, crying out for help. The catch: helping the child would mean potentially compromising a vital diplomatic mission. What do you do? Sarlax's voice cut through the tense silence. Emily looked at her team, seeing the conflict in their eyes. It was Dr. Malik who spoke first. We help the child, she said firmly. No diplomatic mission is worth abandoning an innocent in need. Joel nodded in agreement. We find a way to do both. Protect the child and continue the mission. It's not an either-or situation. Emily turned to Sarlax, her eyes blazing with conviction. Ambassador, humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our adaptability. It's our capacity to care, even when it's difficult. Especially when it's difficult. We choose to help because that's who we are. Sarlax's form shimmered with rapid color changes. Intriguing. You would risk a larger goal for a single life. It's not about risk, Emily explained. It's about values. By helping that child, we're demonstrating the very principles we'd be trying to establish diplomatically. Our actions speak louder than any words could. The scenarios continued, each more challenging than the last. The team faced simulations of sacrifice, of moral dilemmas, of moments where logic and emotion seemed at odds. Through it all, they stayed true to their humanity, sometimes making difficult choices, but always striving to uphold their core values of compassion and empathy. As the final scenario faded from the screen, Sarlax's form seemed to pulse with an intensity they hadn't seen before. We have observed your responses, the alien ambassador said, his voice carrying a new tone. Was it awe? Your species' capacity for empathy is remarkable and perplexing. Emily stepped forward once more. Empathy isn't always easy, Ambassador. It can be painful. It can lead to difficult decisions. But it's also our greatest strength. It's what binds us together, what drives us to explore, to connect, to grow. Sarlax was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, there was a hint of something new in his voice, a flicker of emotion. We came seeking to understand your potential as a species. We did not expect to find this. Empathy isn't just about feeling for others, Emily continued, sensing a breakthrough. It's about understanding, about bridging divides. In a way, Ambassador, this whole exchange has been an exercise in empathy. Us trying to understand you, and you trying to understand us. The alien's form rippled in what Emily was beginning to recognize as agreement. Perhaps you are right, Emily Chen. We have learned much from these challenges, not just about humans, but about ourselves. As Sarlax's image faded from the screen, the room erupted in a mix of relieved sighs and tentative celebration. They had passed the test, but more than that, they had showcased the very best of humanity. Emily turned to her team, a proud smile on her face. Great work, everyone. I think we've given the Zarkonians something to think about. But even as they celebrated this victory, a new alert blared through the room. The main screen flickered urgently, displaying a message that made Emily's blood run cold. URGNT. Distress signal detected from Zarkonian homeworld. Catastrophic event in progress. Assistance required immediately. Emily's eyes widened as she realized the true test was only just beginning. Humanity's empathy and ingenuity were about to be pushed to their absolute limits, and the fate of an entire alien civilization might hang in the balance. As the team scrambled to respond to this unexpected crisis, Emily couldn't help but wonder, was this part of the Zarkonians' plan all along, or had fate thrown them a curveball that would define human-alien relations for generations to come? The answer, she knew, lay in the stars, and in humanity's capacity to rise to the occasion when it mattered most. Crisis on Zarkon Prime. The urgent message flashed on the screen, its red glow casting an ominous light across the faces of Emily Chen and her team. The Zarkonian homeworld, Zarkon Prime, was in dire straits, and the clock was ticking. Emily's mind raced. Was this another test, or a genuine crisis? Either way, their response would be the same. Ambassador Sarlax, she called out, hoping the alien was still monitoring. We've received your distress signal. What's the situation? The screen flickered, and Sarlax's form appeared, his usually smooth movements now erratic and disturbed. This is no test, Emily Chen. Our homeworld faces a catastrophe beyond our ability to control. Our atmospheric regulators have failed, causing rapid climate destabilization. Millions of lives are at risk. Emily felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. This was it, the ultimate test of humanity's worth in the galactic community. We're ready to help, Ambassador, she said, her voice steady and determined. What do you need from us? Sarlax's form pulsed with what Emily now recognized as relief. We need your expertise, your innovation, and your empathy. A team must go to Zarkon Prime immediately. But I warn you, our world is hostile to human physiology. The risk is extreme. Emily turned to her team. She saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. This is voluntary, she said. I won't order anyone to. I'm in, Dr. Malik interrupted, stepping forward. Me too, Joe added without hesitation. One by one, the team members volunteered. Emily felt a surge of pride. This was humanity at its finest. We're coming, Ambassador, Emily announced. Prepare for our arrival. The next few hours were a whirlwind of preparation. The team was outfitted with experimental environmental suits designed to withstand Zarkon Prime's harsh atmosphere. As they boarded the Zarkonian shuttle, Emily couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. They were about to become the first humans to set foot on an alien world. The journey was quick but intense. As they entered Zarkon Prime's atmosphere, the shuttle shook violently. Through the viewport, Emily could see swirling storms of colors she had no names for, flashes of energy that defied explanation. Brace for landing, the Zarkonian pilot announced, his multi-tone voice tense. The shuttle touched down with a jolt. As the doors hissed open, Emily took a deep breath and stepped out onto alien soil. The landscape was unlike anything she had ever seen. The ground shifted beneath her feet, more liquid than solid. The sky was a kaleidoscope of colors, energy arcing between roiling clouds. In the distance, massive structures that could only be Zarkonian cities pulsed with a sickly light. My God, Dr. Malik whispered, her voice filled with awe and horror. The atmospheric destabilization. It's affecting the planet's very structure. A group of Zarkonians approached, their forms flickering erratically. Welcome, humans, one of them said, its voice strained. We are grateful for your aid, but time is short. Our world is dying. Emily stepped forward, pushing aside her wonder and fear. We're here to help. Show us what we're dealing with. The next hours were a blur of activity. The team was led to a massive control center, where Zarkonian scientists frantically worked to stabilize their world. Dr. Malik immersed herself in the alien technology, her brilliant mind racing to understand and adapt Earth sciences to this new challenge. Joe's expertise in ecosystems proved invaluable as they struggled to grasp the complex interplay of Zarkin Prime's environment. Emily found herself in a different role, not just a diplomat, but a bridge between two species fighting together against a common threat. She moved between teams, translating not just words but concepts, helping humans and Zarkonians find common ground in this crisis. As the hours ticked by, progress was made, but slowly. The planet's condition continued to deteriorate. Emily watched as her team pushed themselves to their limits, their environmental suits straining against the hostile atmosphere. It was Joe who had the breakthrough. "The problem isn't just atmospheric," he exclaimed, his eyes wide with realization. "It's biological. The planet itself is alive, and it's sick." This revelation changed everything. Suddenly, they weren't just fighting against physics and chemistry, but working to heal a living entity on a planetary scale. Dr. Malik's eyes lit up. "The Terra seed," she said, referring to their earlier innovation. "If we can adapt it, make it work on a global scale." The team threw themselves into this new approach with renewed vigor. Human ingenuity combined with Zarkonian technology in ways neither species had imagined possible. As they worked, Emily noticed something extraordinary. The barriers between human and Zarkonian were breaking down. Ideas flowed freely, each species building on the other's strengths. This wasn't just about saving a planet anymore. It was about two civilizations learning they were stronger together than apart. But time was running out. As they prepared to activate their adapted Terra seed on a planetary scale, a violent tremor shook the control center. Alarms blared, and a Zarkonian scientist cried out in their melodious language. "What's happening?" Emily demanded, struggling to keep her footing. The Zarkonians' colors pulsed with panic. "The planet's core is destabilizing. If we don't act now, Zarkin Prime will tear itself apart." Emily looked at her team, saw the determination in their eyes despite their exhaustion. She turned to the Zarkonian scientists, saw the same resolve. "Then we act now," she said, her voice carrying across the chaotic room. Together, as human hands and Zarkonian appendages reached for controls, as two species united in a desperate bid to save a world, Emily Chen realized that this moment, this collaboration born of crisis, might just be the beginning of something far greater than anyone had imagined. The fate of Zarkin Prime hung in the balance, but so too did the future of human-Zarkonian relations and perhaps the very nature of galactic civilization itself. With a shared look of determination, human and alien alike initiated the sequence that would either save a world or consign it to oblivion. The real test had only just begun. Humanity's finest hour. The control room of Zarkin Prime's atmospheric regulation center thrummed with tension. Humans and Zarkonians worked side by side, their movements a synchronized dance of desperation and hope. At the center of it all stood Emily Chen, her environmental suit scuffed and battered, her eyes blazing with determination. Initiating Terra seed deployment in 3, 2, 1. Dr. Malik's voice cut through the chaos, steady despite the gravity of the moment. A low hum filled the air as the adapted Terra seed technology, now scaled to planetary proportions, surged to life. Emily held her breath, watching as streams of data flowed across holographic displays. The fate of an entire world hung in the balance. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a Zarkonian scientist let out a trill that needed no translation, a sound of pure joy. "It's working," Joe exclaimed, his eyes wide as he interpreted the alien readouts. "The planetary biosystem is responding." Outside, the kaleidoscopic sky began to shift. The violent energy arcs diminished, replaced by a softer, more harmonious flow of colors. The ground beneath their feet, once liquid and unstable, began to solidify. But their victory was far from assured. As Zarkin Prime's core stabilized, new challenges arose. The rapid changes threatened to overwhelm entire ecosystems, potentially causing as much damage as they were trying to prevent. "We need to modulate the Terra seed's output," Dr. Malik shouted over the din of alarms and excited chatter. "It's too much, too fast." Emily watched as her team scrambled to adjust, their human intuition and creativity complementing the Zarkonians' vast knowledge of their own world. It was a delicate balance. Push too hard, and they'd overwhelm the planet. Ease off too much, and they'd lose the momentum needed to save it. Hours blended into what felt like days. The humans worked tirelessly, pushing their environmental suits to the limit. Emily moved between stations, offering encouragement, making split-second decisions, and bridging communication gaps between the two species. As the crisis slowly began to abate, Emily noticed something extraordinary. The Zarkonians, once so alien and inscrutable, were displaying unmistakable signs of emotion. Relief, gratitude, and even joy rippled through their color-changing forms. Zarlax, who had been coordinating efforts from orbit, materialized in the control room. His usually smooth form was haggard, but his colors pulsed with an intensity Emily had never seen before. Emily Chen, the ambassador's multi-tone voice, resonated with a new depth of feeling. "Your species, you have done the impossible. You have saved our world." Emily, exhausted but elated, managed to smile. "We did it together, Ambassador. Humans and Zarkonians, working as one." As the immediate danger passed, the full implications of what they had achieved began to sink in. This wasn't just about saving a planet. It was a turning point in galactic history. In the days that followed, as Zarkon Prime stabilized and the human team prepared to return home, Emily found herself in countless meetings with Zarkonian leaders. The aliens, once so reserved and analytical, now approached her with a new openness. "We have misjudged your species," a high-ranking Zarkonian official admitted, its form shimmering with what Emily now recognized as respect. "We saw your emotions as a weakness, your empathy as a flaw. We were wrong." Emily nodded, understanding the profound shift that had occurred. "Empathy drove us to help, even at great risk to ourselves. Our emotions give us strength, fuel our creativity, and bind us together. They're not separate from our intelligence. They're an integral part of it." The official's colors pulsed in agreement. "We see that now. Your species has much to teach us, as we have much to teach you. Perhaps this is the beginning of a great alliance." As Emily and her team boarded the ship that would take them back to Earth, she felt a profound sense of accomplishment tinged with excitement for the future. They had come to Zarkon Prime as alien visitors, stepping into the unknown. They were leaving as heroes, having laid the foundation for a new era of interstellar cooperation. Back on Earth, they were greeted with a hero's welcome. News of their accomplishments had spread, uniting humanity in a way few things ever had. People of all nations celebrated not just the bravery of the team, but the promise of a broader, more wondrous universe than they had ever imagined. In a speech to the United Nations, Emily Chen stood tall, her experiences having transformed her from a promising young diplomat into a true leader. "We went to the stars carrying the best of humanity with us," she declared, her voice ringing out across the assembly and to billions watching around the world. "Our curiosity, our ingenuity, our empathy. We faced challenges beyond imagination and emerged stronger. But more than that, we've shown that the very things that make us human, our emotions, our drive to connect, our willingness to help others even at great cost to ourselves, these are not weaknesses to be overcome, but strengths to be celebrated." She paused, looking out at the sea of faces, seeing hope and pride reflected back at her. "The Zarkonians have invited us to join them in a grand alliance, to explore the cosmos together. We stand at the threshold of a new era, not just for humanity, but for all sentient life. An era of cooperation, of shared discovery, of bridging the gaps between civilizations." As applause thundered through the hall, Emily thought back to that first meeting with Zarlax, when the fate of Earth had hung in the balance. They had come so far since then, faced so much, but she knew this was just the beginning. The stars beckoned, filled with wonders and challenges beyond imagination. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, not through force or fear, but through compassion, ingenuity, and an unwavering spirit of exploration. As Emily Chen looked up at the night sky, no longer empty but full of possibility, she smiled. The greatest adventure in human history was just beginning, and she couldn't wait to see what the universe had in store.